Hi everyone, welcome back to the Ask Mike Show, and we are all about podcasting today. So I've had a question from one of you that's been all about the 5 tips that we need for beginner podcasting. What are the things that we need to know? What do we need to understand? And some tips that we can use to get started. All right. So we're going to get straight in. We're going to dive in. Thank you to those that are tuning in. Welcome to those that are brand new to the show. If you like the show, feel free to subscribe and leave a review wherever you are tuning in from. Very, very excited to have you here. And the first big tip regarding podcasting, so number 1 is when you get into podcasting, you've got to realize that you are a form of media. What do I mean by that? Well, there's social media, there's general media like newspapers and TV and all those things, and podcasting is another medium. Podcasting is another form of media. So you're now becoming something that people will listen to, that people will consume, and people will get value out of, no matter what that is. So number 2 on the list of tips for you is, once you realize that you are a form of media, number 2 is other people will get different value out of your show. So for some people, it's to pass the time while they're doing housework. For others, they're after key hints and tips that'll help them improve their life or their business or their health or their whatever it is, whatever your show is about. And other times it can be about learning from other people. But to a certain extent, you've got to realize that your show is your show, and everyone will use your show for different things, for different reasons, and they get out of it what they want to get out of it. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is you want to make it easy to start with. So I've got a mobile setup because I do enough traveling that warrants having something that I can take with me. But when I first started, it was the same headset that you'll see on the video, but I had it on my phone, I recorded to my phone, and then I uploaded it. That was all I did. That was all I did. Now, as it's got better, as we've got bigger, as I'm getting more feedback from you guys about the show, I've adjusted and I've changed over time. I made it very, very easy for me to actually start the show, and also the process of having it. If I made it complicated, I would have struggled once things got busier, once things got more difficult. The things that were complicated tend to be the first things to go. And I didn't want the podcast to become one of those things. So I took steps in order to make it easy and simple for me to get the podcast going. So that's number 3. Number 4 is be okay with not being your best when you start. So when I first started, I wasn't as good as I am now. In a couple of years, I will probably be better than what I am now. So it works on a experience level, but don't be put off by the fact that, hey, maybe I'm not going to be world class right now. I still don't consider myself world class at podcasting. I don't think I ever will, because once you think that you're amazing at something, that can deter you from improving, and that's not what I want to do. So I'm always going to be content with where I am, but I'm always going to be trying to improve, and that's the key. But if you don't start, you will never improve. So that is number 4. And number 5 is you want to decide on your format. So when I first started, it was all interviews. Then as it's grown, as I've grown as a person, I've learned a lot more. I feel more capable of giving advice and giving the information myself, as well as having guests. It's sort of grown from only interviews where I was learning from people to now a bit of both. And now I'm at a point where I'm taking questions from the listeners, from the watchers, and then I'm able to give my best answers and bring experts in on different topics, and it'll grow from there. All right. So I've got a lot of ambitions for the show, but the format has changed over time. But you've got to stick your fork in the ground on one of the formats, and then you can progress from there. Because how you start is never going to be where you finish. Where you start is never, ever going to be where you end up. So don't be so, not close-minded, but don't be so focused on it has to be perfect straight away. Start, get it out as quick as you can, get it out as straightforward as you can, and then you can develop and grow from there. I hope that makes sense. Because if I'd compared myself to the bigger names out there, the show would never have started, because it's never going to be as good as the bigger guys out there. They've got more years under their belt. They've got more shows under their belt. Some of them speak for a living as well, and the podcast is a side thing. It's a different ball game when you're trying to compare yourself to someone that has years and years and years ahead of you. Plus, chances are they are improving as well. So to a certain extent, they're always going to be a couple of steps ahead, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't start. It doesn't mean you can't start your own podcast. So they are my thoughts on that. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about podcasting, feel free to reach out to me on social media, wherever you're tuning in. I'm sure it'll be through a social media channel. So if you want to message me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you find this, YouTube even, I'm on all the platforms right now. So feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any of your podcasting questions. Have an amazing day. Again, thank you for tuning in. Keep your questions coming, and I will give you my best answers as always. Feel free to reach out to me on social media. As I said, I'm on all the platforms, and also feel free to tune in. Feel free to spread the word. Feel free to leave a review, give it a rate, because it helps the show grow. If you know someone that would like to start a podcast, if you know someone that might benefit from this episode, feel free to share it. Feel free to tell them about the show, and I'm more than happy to help those people out as well. Have an amazing day, and I look forward to chatting to you again soon.